Hi everyone, and welcome back to Kimbo's Comfort Kitchen. And today we are going to talk about something that's deep in the DNA of most Danes, in fact most Scandinavians, and that is herring, which is really actually just a large sardine. But sill or spejsill or kajsill, which is spejsill is just a regular herring done with vinegar, sugar, and some spices, and then we have a curry herring, which we're going to make open-faced sandwiches with. Now, as anybody who's a Dane would say, well, come on, Kim, I mean, this is pretty easy. But there's a lot of people out there that have never had herring and maybe would like to try it. It's pretty spectacular once you've tried it. I will say, for some people, it's either like a big yay or a big nay. But most people, it's a big yay. So, a couple of things. When we're having a smorgasbord, yes, I know I'm using the Swedish word smorgasbord, but we've appropriated it as well in the Danish language. Swedes don't like it very much, but we have. I know I'm going to get a lot of fan mail on that one. People still mail? Anyway, couple of rules. One is you never put herring on white bread because you just don't want your white bread getting all soggy. It should always be on rye, and that's my cat Caesar looking for the herring. No, you can't have any. So, anyway, back to where we're going. I'm going to do 3 different kinds today, and of course you have to include at the end of it some aquavit and some beer, and that is actually de rigueur to go with the herring. So let's get to it and see what we can do. So here we go. So for me, this is a trip down memory lane. I know that many Danes know how, obviously, how to make an open-faced herring sandwich, or as we call it, spejsill. But it all goes back to the details. So in the old days, this is my great grandmother's jar here that we used to, when we would sit at a table, it would all be prepped and put in here, and everybody would just go and grab it and build their own sandwiches. But for today's purposes, I'm going to do this from scratch and build each sandwich so that everybody can see it, because I have my mom out on the back deck right now waiting for her open-faced spicy sandwich on rye. Now I've got 2 boards here. The first board I've got is set up for the herring because I don't want everything else that I'm dealing with after that to smell of fish. So what I'm going to do is take these fillets. I should have taken a moment here. This is what I'm using, if you can see it without me spilling it. It's a Fisherman, which is a good Danish company. They export all over the world. And I'm going to cut this all on a bias into smaller pieces. And let me grab another one and do the same thing. Now this has been marinated in basically, for all intents and purposes, in vinegar and sugar with some other krydder or spices. And that's what we're going to end up with right now. And I'll be right back, and we're going to start building. I'm sorry, I lied. I'm not going to start building yet because I realized I need another fillet. And I also wanted to mention that you don't have to cut on a bias here, but we're going to need more. We just had a guest show up, so I'm making more than 2. And the meat is firm. It's delicious. Be right back. All right, so like I said before, making an open-faced sandwich, especially with spicy, is not brain surgery or rocket brain surgery, whatever. It is pretty simple. There are some basic components. One is you need a good rye. This is the one I'm using today. It's a coarse rye made by Artisan Company here in Vancouver. I really like what they do. And more importantly, actually, is I like the shape. It's a perfect square shape. Now, normally with smørrebrød or butter bread, when you're doing it, you shouldn't be able to actually see the bread. Everything else should be hanging over, with the exception of having spicy So let's take this and we're going to get some butter on it. I'm using my grandfather's buttering knife. It's kind of cool. This has some history behind it for sure. I grew up with it. It's pretty amazing. So don't be shy when you're putting on the herring. So we're actually going to do two types today. We're going to do the basic one, which is also with my grandfather's fork. Just really typisch dansk. And we're going to lay some of the fillet on top like that. And once we do that, I'm going to, this is for Mom. I'm making a different one, which is a variation of what the fishermen used to eat in the morning when they came home and had for breakfast, which you're going to see in a second. So anyway, that's pretty much it. That's an open-faced spicy sandwich. Okay, now I'm going to show you the second one. All right, so as I mentioned, this is going to be the one that the sailors used to have when they came home in the morning and they wanted a beer or schnapps and something to eat. I'm going to use a little bit more butter just because we're Danes. That's the way it works. And, you know, one of my cats is smelling the herring right now and just losing its mind. But that's okay. That's the way the cookie crumbles. I'm actually going to stuff this one right to the edge because this one's for me. There we go. Yes, Jack. And then I'm going to find, I should mention, by the way, that the onions are sweet onions, which I put in water because it just takes the edge off on the acid. You don't have to. I mean, my grandparents certainly never did. But I like it. And I'm going to start with one piece right in the middle, like that. And I'll show you why in a second. And then I'm going to throw some onion either side, like this. And believe it or not, if I can find it, oh, there it is. I've got some creamed horseradish. And I'm going to put the dollop of creamed horseradish right in the center. Yes, horseradish. Believe me, it's freaking amazing with the herring. But I got to make sure I make the hole here. And I'm not sure if this is going to come out right because it's very hard to transport. But here you go. Now, that is what it's supposed to look like. Getting it to the table is going to be a bit of a challenge. But there we go. And then finally, I'm going to do some fresh cracked pepper on top. And I have to tell you, that right there for me with sild is one of my absolute favorite dishes, which is what we start off with when we're doing a big smørrebrød, a langbrød. This is generally what we start with. Not necessarily with the horseradish stuff, but it's always with sild. And then my next episode, I'm going to show you one with kai sild, or curry herring. All right, hope you enjoy. Okay, so we've done the first two, which is just regular spicy and also with the æggeblom, which is a raw egg that the sailors like to have on Jylland. Specifically, you might say it's Vejlensisk, from Vejle, but I guess there's other places that like it as well. But we know we like it there. So next we're going to do the kai sild, and I'll show you how to do that. It's very quick, it's very simple, it's a lot simpler, even simpler than what I just did. So let's try that out. Okay, so part two. I know this is a tough one. Thank goodness. So we're doing the pickled herring in curry sauce, or kai sild, which is really complicated. I'm being sarcastic. I just need to find another butter knife because I've had a couple of aquavit and I've had a couple of beers. So let's get through this. It's the way what we do. I'm also going to do an episode on aquavit, on all the different types of aquavit and what's involved. So, now you might wonder, how in the heck can Danes have curry herring? Well, we were at one point quite the merchants all over the world. Well, all over the Atlantic side and into the Mediterranean. And at some point in time, somebody picked up the spice curry, and we've adopted it, and we love it. So here's our curried herring. Very complex. Lots of butter on the rye bread. Excuse my fingers, but I washed them. Do that. Some more there. I can tell you, it is one of our favorites. And then I'm taking some of the sweet onion that I have soaked in water earlier. I'm going to put that on top like that. That it's not asymmetrical, I know. But the only thing that's missing from that is some black cracked pepper. There you go. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this latest installation of spicesill and kajsill, and I'll be doing more in the future with other open-faced sandwiches. Take care, and skål!